Hi, my name is Amy Havens and I live in Santa Barbara, California. I first discovered Pilates while I was in college as a dance major at Colorado State University. Not a college that's known for its dance program, but the faculty was pretty amazing. And I had a teacher in the modern program, the modern teacher, who wanted us to learn Pilates. She thought it'd be very important for the dance majors to learn not only what it felt like, but that it could be a career path someday. Because she was really honest and said, not all of you are going to make it as performers. Some of you might not want to go into the teaching realm of dance, so here's something else that you might want to consider. So there was a studio that had just opened in Fort Collins, Colorado, called the Pilates Center of Fort Collins. Its owner, Gary Calderon, was a graduate of the Pilates Center of Boulder, that program, so very Romana. And he's the teacher who came into our dance program at CSU, and it was a Tuesday, Thursday afternoon for 3 weeks. So he gave us mat work. And I loved it. I was immediately taken with how fun it was. It felt very dance-like. Gary was also a dancer, so I think the way he taught it to us was very dance, kind of a dance feeling. And at the end, on the last day, I remember him asking some of us who wanted to demonstrate. And of course, I'm a yes person, so yeah, sure, I'll demonstrate. And little did I know, but for those 3 weeks, he probably had been watching all of our normal alignment and things that were interesting about our spinal designs. And so he sat right next to me and he said, I'd like you to demonstrate rolling like a ball. I said, okay. And I got in the position and the total flat tire event happened. I just rolled back and could not roll back up. And I looked at him and I, hold on a minute, let me do it again. Tried it again, same thing. And I got frustrated. I don't know why I hadn't not done the ball before, but right there on the spot, I wasn't able to do the ball. He said, don't worry, how about let's do open leg rocker. And that one I was fine with for some reason. But I think now, I know now, I was able to use my hamstring flexibility and different hip joint function. So, but I still couldn't roll back up. I could roll back, but I couldn't get up. And then lastly was neck pull. And he just handed it to me with all the flexion exercises, right? That were really challenging for me. And to this day, neck pull and I still have a very interesting relationship. So that first exposure for me of Pilates was paramount in excitement. It was that element of why can't I do those things? You know? And so I asked Gary, why can't I do those things? And he said, come find out. Come back to the studio. So I went into the Pilates Center of Fort Collins and became their front desk girl. It was a $5 an hour trade. I did 10 hours a week. That equaled 1 private lesson. I sat at the desk. So it was a new studio. The phone wasn't ringing all that often. So I got the opportunity to observe. And what a gift that was. So here were these teachers, Gary and a few others, and their clients, and the phone would ring, but I would do my job, but I would also observe Pilates being taught. And I feel that was one of the biggest gifts I've ever received, was to step into learning Pilates as an observer first, and also a mover second. You know what I mean? That partnership. And many years later, here I am today, teaching Pilates. So thank you, Gary. I knew I loved Pilates right away because I could feel the difference in my body and its strength. We would use mat work before performances, and I became really dedicated to my mat practice and just mat routine before any rehearsal or any performance. And how did I know I was improving? I was jumping higher, landing softer. I was hitting turns quicker and more turns, balancing better. So all of those things were immediate, like, wow, this is really working. There was nothing else that I was doing different other than Pilates. So I was hooked from the very beginning. After I left Colorado, I pursued my dance performance career in San Francisco and didn't get into the company that I wanted to get into. That's okay. I did a lot of regional dance and toured with a company that I loved as their understudy, learned the parts and all of that, but I didn't get chosen, and that's okay. All of the companies that I was dancing with, the regional pieces and companies, were wonderful. But you know, my body was starting to hurt. My knees were hurting, my hips were hurting, my lower back was hurting. I was a modern dancer, and I wasn't afraid to jump and to be caught by partners and to be thrown, do things on the floor, very athletic. So my body took a toll, for sure. And it was after a performance, I went to get in the car of my friend's car. We were going out to have some after performance fun, and I couldn't lift my leg to get in the car, the back seat. I remember really clearly it was this side. But the injury could have been on this side, still don't know. I don't remember. But I had something really affect me in my dance and after that performance. So the only thing I really knew to do was Pilates and to seek out a chiropractor. So I did. The chiropractor took a look at my pelvis and went, wow, you are really, really rotated, and oh my gosh, you need Pilates. And I kind of thought, well, that's interesting. I've already been doing a little bit of Pilates. But at that time, I had only been doing mat work. I hadn't done any of the equipment. I had no idea really what, I'd remember the reformer from way back when I was in Colorado, but this is many years later now. And she got me right in the reformer and just really started to align me and just give me fundamentals and kind of taught me how to move again and move without pain. And so in that process, I made a decision. I think dance was starting to fade out as far as a performance and a career option, and Pilates was being illuminated to me. So I asked that teacher where I should go, and she said, you need to go see Madeline Black at a body of work in San Francisco. So I marched right over there, and they had one program going on that was physical mind, and I did the program. It was Madeline's last round of teaching that curriculum with that program before she started her own. And I feel very grateful that I learned my first how to be a Pilates teacher from Madeline Black. I left the Bay Area in 2001 and moved down here to Santa Barbara, California. Love this place so much. I immediately just fell in love with this community. But what I did do is looking for a job. I was looking for a studio to teach in, and the two studios at that time, that's right, two at that time, we're talking 2001, a while back, I honestly didn't feel like that was going to be my home studio to teach in. Neither one. They weren't bad, it just wasn't what I was used to. It wasn't what I learned from Madeline. I was seeing different things and didn't connect with the energy and the vibe in the studio, so I began my own. At the time, I just was myself teaching, and I rented a small little space. And as things got busier, I took on a teacher, found someone to work with me, grabbed a little more commercial lease space and bumped out a little bit, got a little busier, grabbed a couple more teachers, just finding the way to make things grow organically. And they have, and they did beautifully. And I opened Centerpoint Pilates in, that was really the first name was The Point Pilates Studio, but then I changed it to Centerpoint Pilates in 2002. And so The Point Pilates Studio became Centerpoint pretty quickly, and it's just grown into this amazing hub of vital energy, talent, integrity, teachers that all come from different backgrounds. Some of them were trained under me and some with other people. And from the very beginning opening the studio, I wanted a collective of teachers. I didn't want a carbon copy of me. I didn't want everyone learning this, from the same background. I wanted individuality because we're all individuals and we're all different. So I wanted a staff and a team of different voices, different lenses, different backgrounds to work with all the community that we had. So we've been going strong since 2001, and we're continuing. It's going well. A question that I get asked often is, for me personally, is, Amy, why do you continue to do so much training? You're always out there learning something and always taking more education. Aren't you done? And the answer is no, and I will never be done learning. I think this is essential for every teacher, that we continue on, that we continue learning and extrapolating bits of information from as many resources as we can. Although my first certification was from Madeline Black, I went on to do a lot of continuing education with the Bassey program, Fletcher program, Pat Guyton is my mentor still to this day. Boy, Kara Reeser, the Heritage Program is near and dear to my heart. I've done work with Rebecca Rothstein, Sherry Betts. It just goes on and on. But I really, truly feel that a quality teacher will be a student forever, and to never let that go from their practice, from their importance of learning. I have a fun story to tell everyone. If you haven't heard this story, here you go. And I'll keep it as brief as I can, but Christy Cooper, when she was writing the business plan with her business partners, John and Ted, about what she wanted to create with Pilates Anytime, she approached me, one of just, I think, 5 or 6 Santa Barbara teachers. She had not seen me teach before, but she had heard about me. We'd met, but we hadn't really, you know, I think I knew who Christy Cooper was, and she knew who Amy Havens was. She sat down with me at my studio with this wonderful notebook, a whole plan, and started to tell me her idea for Pilates Anytime. And within about 10, maybe 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm in, I'll do it. And she said, well, wait, I have a whole business plan. I want to outline more and more. I said, you don't have to, I'm in. This is amazing. Yeah, when do we start? And she said, but no, I have more things I need to tell you. And I just put my hands in my lap, kind of like I do, and I looked at her and I said, Christy, thank you for asking me. I feel so blessed and grateful, and wow, this is incredible. And you know what's going to happen, don't you? And she said, what? And I said, this is going to be the biggest continuing education thing on the internet. Oh, no, we're just doing mat classes. That's all, we just want to initial. No, we're not. And I said, you wait. Within probably 2-3 months, we're going to be getting people wanting reformer and equipment. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. And sure enough, I think it might have been 6 weeks later, she called, Amy, we just got our first request for a reformer class. So I was in the studio last night in the dark, outside. It was dark outside, and she was in the studio filming her first reformer class for Pilates Anytime. So we go way back, and I knew it was going to be brilliant and just the most important thing for the Pilates industry ever. And I feel so, again, blessed to be part of this project, I call it, this company. I started coming down as a student in class as often as I could. I was a teacher for the site. And that's grown into helping Christy doing some administrative things back in the early days when she was getting busy. I just was down here all the time. I said, how can I help? And then that turned into, really? How much time do you have? And then I started helping in the studio when teachers came in to film. I would be back in the back of the room helping Christy with keeping the teachers organized and helping her run the show because, you know, it's a lot of work. And that's turned into now I help develop content for this site, and I've met the best of the best, so I feel absolutely blessed. I would like to say that I truly feel everyone should do Pilates on some level. It can be for athletic training, it can be for rehab, it can be for your multi-purpose modality of movement intermixed with all your other things. But absolutely you need to do Pilates because you develop a relationship with yourself that you probably wouldn't get an opportunity to do otherwise, because good teachers tap you into yourself, and we ask you to think about yourself. We ask you to feel and to get in and to learn about yourself. And I don't know many other professions and places that you get that opportunity to do. And once you find out what's really in here, it's a pretty cool thing. You get to learn your anatomy and your muscles and all of that beautiful stuff, but you also get to learn like who you are and your potential. So yes, everyone needs to do Pilates. And Pilates for me is my life source. It's not just my job, it's what I do. It's my movement, it's my play, and it's my joy. Pilates for me is my life source. It's not only my job and my career, but is really what I do a lot of the time, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes on the mat on a daily basis. Of course, I love all the equipment, but the principles of Pilates I take with me everywhere, and that's another thing you get to learn about the principles. You get to take them outside of a studio setting and take them into real life. It's a beautiful practice. It's a beautiful partnership that you can have. When I'm not teaching Pilates in my studio or in Pilates Anytime studio right here, or out traveling teaching other teachers out in the world that I'm so happy to do often and more all the time, I like to contemplate. Actually, I like to sit still and contemplate. I like to write. I like to listen to music. I absolutely dance with wild abandon in my own home when no one's looking and do my jam, if you will. It's really therapeutic for me. I like to go outside. I like to hike. I like to be in nature. I love cooking, and I love being around pets and animals. So I'm kind of that kind of gal. But you can find me centerpointpilates.com. Soon coming my own website that I'll tell you about later. You can find me Amy Havens SB on Instagram, and of course you can always find me through Pilates Anytime.